Hey guys, so we're going to be learning about measure of center today. We're going to continue with our our statistics unit. So with the measure of center, the goal of each measure of center so kind of think about those words, is to get an idea of a typical value in the data set. So kind of what happens regularly. So there are three different types of measures of central tendencies, what you also may hear them be called. And that would be the mean, which might be represented as X with a little line over it. Okay. You also have the median. And you also have the mode. So the mean is the average of a group of numbers. So like if you think of like your test average, what kind of is like how did you do as a whole, right? So you might say the average. The median would be the very middle of a group. So it's the very middle of a group, or the average of the two middle numbers. So it's something that's in the direct middle. And then the mode is the number or numbers that occur the most in a group of numbers, so the ones that occur the most. So when you hear mode, you should think of the word most. Average, and then middle for median. All right, so when we're talking about mean, in order to find the mean, you must first add. You're going to add all of the data values, so think about like, test scores, you're going to add them. And then second, you are going to divide by the sum the total amount of numbers that you have in the data set. So the sum by the value of data values you have. Okay, so for example, all right, so we have 5, 8, 7, 10, 2, and 4. Okay, so what we would do is first we are going to add those up. Okay, so it's clear. So we have 5 plus 8 plus 7 plus 10 plus 2 plus 4. So that gives us 36. Okay, so our mean equals 36, and then it says we're going to divide by the total amount. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it means we're going to divide by the 6 numbers. And then 36 divided by 6 is 6, so our mean is 6. Okay, all right, so now let's do a couple for practice. So we have 25, 10, 5, 1, 3, 4, 7, 15, 20, and 10. So what I want you to do, I want you to add all these numbers up and then divide by the amount of numbers you just added up. So go ahead, pause this video, and then you can come back and check to see how you did. Okay, so hopefully you paused and you were able to add these up. So we added 25 plus 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 7 plus 15 plus 20 plus 10, and we got 100. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers, so I divided 100 divided by 10, and that gave me 10. So my mean is 10. All right. Now the next thing we're going to learn how to do is find the median. So the median, so first you're going to put the number set in numerical order. Ooh. And that means from smallest to largest. We're going to put that in smallest to largest. So second, you're going to find the very middle. You're going to find the very middle number. And we'll do this by crossing out from the ends. Okay, so first we need to put this in numerical order. So the first one we're going to put this in numerical order. All right, so we have a 2, and I like to cross it out as I go. A 5. We have another 5. We have a 7, an 8, 10, and 12. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers. So I just like to double check this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't want to leave one off because it's going to throw your numbers off. All right, so we need to find what's in the very, very middle. We're going to cross out from each end. So that you can still see it, I'm just going to kind of underline them. So we have one over here that we're going to get rid of, and one over here. One over here, one over here, one over here, one over here. Smack dab left up in the middle is a 7. So our median is 7. So our middle number is 7. The middle number of this data is 7. So what I want you to do, I want you to put these first in numerical order, so put them from smallest to greatest, both of them. And then go ahead and cross through and see which one you get left in the middle. Go ahead and I want you to try your median. Okay, so welcome back. Hopefully you paused this video. So we went ahead and we put these in numerical order first, and I double checked that I had all my numbers listed correctly, so I recounted them. And then I went through and I crossed off each one. I was left with 21 in the middle of this one. I put my numbers in numerical order here. I crossed them off, and I was left with 5, so my median is 5. All right, guys, so sometimes it's not quite that simple as just finding one singular number that's in the middle. Sometimes when you have an even number of data values in a data set, sometimes you might have 2 numbers that are left in the middle. Okay, so you're like, well, which one do I use? You might have 2 numbers that are left in the middle. So if this happens, you are just going to have to find the average of the 2. So you're going to add the 2 numbers up, and then you're going to divide by the 2 numbers in order to get the median. So you're going to divide by 2 once you add those 2 numbers up. So for example, so first things first, we need to put this in numerical order. So you're going to have 2, 5, 5. So we have 2, 5, 5. We have 6, 8, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. So 10, 12, 14. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Awesome. So we're going to cross off 1 here, 1 here, 1 and 1, 1 and 1. Okay, so as you can see, if I crossed both of these off, I would be left with nothing. Oh, I apologize. So if I were to cross both of these off, I'd be left with nothing. So I'm left with these 2 numbers in the middle. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to add these 2 up. So 6 plus 8 is 14. And then we're going to divide by 2 numbers. So divide by 2. So that would give me 7. And guys, if you think about it, what's in between 6 and 8? 7. Okay, so our median is 7. So I want you to go ahead and I want you to try. So first things first, put them in numerical order. When you get to your last 2, add them up, and then divide by 2, and that is the exact number that's in the middle of that data set. So you go ahead, pause this video, and I want you to try finding the median when you have 2 numbers left. Welcome back. So first things first, I went through and I put these in numerical order, double checked that I had gotten all of my numbers. When I went through, I crossed off, I went from one side to the other, and I was left with 5 and 7 in the middle. Okay, now guys, you know what numbers in between 5 and 7, but sometimes we may not, so this is why it's really great practice. So you're going to add the 2 up, so 5 plus 7 is 12, and I would divide by 2, so that would give me 6. All right, and then for this one, I put those again in numerical order. I was left with 12 and 16. So guys, as you can see, sometimes we might draw a blank and we might not realize what is in the middle of those 2 numbers, and that's why this is a really great method, especially when it's something that's really far apart and that you might get decimals and such for. So we have what's in between 12 and 16, so that would give us 28 divided by 2 is 14, so our median would be 14. All right, now sometimes there's this thing called an outlier, and guys, we kind of talked about this the other day when we went over our vocab. So an outlier is a number that is much greater or smaller than the rest of the data set. Okay, so it's going to be greater or smaller than the rest of the data set. So, a golf team's 6 members had the scores below in their most recent tournament. So, as you can see, most of them scored roughly between 70 and 80, right? But then we have this one person right here that scored 114. That one just looks off, right? So that's what we would consider our outlier. So the first thing we're going to do, it asks us to calculate the mean, okay? So I went ahead and we're going to add these all up. So when I add 70 plus 72 plus 74 plus 76 plus 80 plus 114, we're going to get 486, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. So I'm going to divide by 6. So that would give me a mean score of 81. Now, guys, let's look at this data. Did most people score an 80 or even an 81 for that matter? Nope, only one person scored above an 81, so that's really not a true depiction of their scores. 81 is nowhere close to the scores that they had gotten. So now we're going to calculate this mean without the outlier, okay? So we're going to add, that means we're going to add 70 plus 72 plus 74 plus 76 plus 80, all right? So when we get that, our total is going to be, we have 372. Now I only have how many? We have 5 numbers. Okay, so when I divide, that's going to give me 74.4. That is a much closer number to what these people actually scored, right? That's a much better depiction of it. So now we're going to find the median of this, okay? So now we're going back to normal. We want to go back and find the median. So 1, 2, 1, 2. I have this one right here. So in the middle, this was going to give me, we had 150. We're going to divide that by 2 because we had 2 numbers left. So I had 74 and 76. So I added them together. That gave me 150. 150 divided by 2 equals 75. And guys, we know 75 is in between 74 and 76. So 75 is our median. Okay, so which one would best describe, using all the numbers, right? So I have all of my numbers because we have to include this person's score. Using all of our numbers, which one best describes the data? I would probably say the median best describes the data because that's the one that's going to be closest, right? This mean is not that close to it. So the median best described the data for this because this outlier, it made our mean go really crazy. So to determine the best measure of center, meaning the mean or median, to best describe a set of data, you want to look for an outlier, okay? We want to make sure that there's nothing that's sitting there that's throwing this off, right? So if you have an outlier, you want to choose the median. We want to choose what's in the middle. That's going to give us a much closer representation because the mean is drastically changed. Clearly, I mean, guys, like nobody actually even got 81. If there is no outlier, so if there's not one, so let's pretend 114 had not been here, then we would have wanted to have chosen the mean. Because all the numbers in the data are so close that the average, that it really shows what would normally happen. All right, guys, and the last thing we're going to learn about is the mode. Remember, when we think mode, we think most. That's our like key. We think most, okay? So the mode is the value or values that occur the most, capitalize that, the most in your data set. All you have to do, guys, is count. We're literally just going to count. That is it. You can have more than one mode, but when all of the values, so all these numbers are represented the same, so like when they occur the same amount, that means that we have no mode. It means that one does not exist. It just means which one repeats the most. And if they all repeat the exact same, we have no mode. And if nothing repeats, then it means no mode. So let's go ahead and we're going to give this one a try. So I'm going to go through and I can see I have 21. Okay, I have 2 19s right here. And then let's see, 21, 21. Okay, so I know I have some 21s. So I have 1, 2, and 3 21s. Let's look for if we have 3 19s. We have 1, 2. Okay, so that's it. I have 1, 2 18s. Okay, so the one that repeats the most is 21. So 21 is our mode. It repeats the most. All right, so let's see this one. So I have a 10. I have another 10. So I have 2 10s. Oh, I see I'm going to do different ones for this. 15 and a 15. 13, 14, 16. Okay, so these repeat the same amount. Okay, so these two repeat the most. So we have 2 of these. We had a 10 and a 15. I have 2 modes. I have 2 repeatings that are the same. All right, guys, so let's look at this one. So I have a 5, and I have another 5. All right. I have an 8 and another 8. Okay, so it looks like maybe. I have a 4 and another 4. Okay, and then I have a 3 and a 3. All of these repeat twice, right? So they all occur twice. Do any of them repeat more than any others? Nope. So that means we have no mode.